Alrighty, we are. Okay, I got a little thing now that make the background white. I think Dusty is going to be the only one joining us tonight. Rich has been sending me progress pics. I guess he's right now taking a class. That's cool. I am painting up some Sanctioned Psykers. These are from Wargames Atlantic. Here's the first one. Things aren't going well for him. Maybe he's about to Perils of the Warp. Maybe he looked like he was going to Perils of the Warp. Now he thinks the Commissar's going to shoot him no matter what he does, so he's just running away screaming. That's not going to help him in terms of making him look like a guy who didn't Perils of the Warp. This other dude, he's smart. He's like, all right, I'm going to wield grand cosmic power. And all right, so I've got green guys, I've got orange guys, I've got purple guys, I've got red guys, I've got light blue guys. What could the wizards be? That would be cool. I'm thinking I'm gonna keep them white. That's what I think I'm going to do. Because Sanctioned Psykers off of white and green. So I'm going to try and carry that look. In fact, I'm going to go grab the Guard Codex. Take it. Okay. Oh. Still right there. Broke a thing. Trying to sneak past here. Where did I break? The bottom of this. Looks like it's back on. Looks like everything is fine here. I got some Basilicum Gray, maybe some Space Wolves Gray. Let's see what the Sanctioned Psych. Ooh, it's actually kind of tan robes with white. Okay, so we can do that. Glad I looked at the book. Here, I'm going to show you guys. Okay. So I'm going to be trying to match kind of this tan right here. See if there's any other ones. I mean, probably not because it's with the command platoon. But might be something here. By the way, if you want just like cool looking codexes, don't waste your time. Like just a bunch of new flashy art, pictures of models and stuff, because you're into the miniatures. So you're a wargamer. Tan. We know. Tan. Let's do it. I actually have some Citadel color contrast. Okay. Move our friend into the center. Okay. The skeleton horde is ready to go. Oh boy. I've been seeing other people's YouTubes, and I thought I was being subtler by not picking like the big games from this era. But I realized if other people are going to use Aquatic Ambience and Dr. Docs, which are like the all-time hit of all hits, I'm going to use them too because they're great. You don't get to own Aquatic Ambience, only Jeremy and Mono. Only him. It's an interesting way for me to think, by the way. I was like, if I do it this way, I can like systematize it where it'll always be focused, brain. You know? He's got this kind of like armor plate. I guess that could be like. Funny is, these are supposed to be like chaos cultists. Great part about Warhammer 40k is it's like, wow, he's like basically chaos. He's like 98% of the way there. Just worships the Emperor. So there's a thing that I always think people don't really get is that like in the Imperium, Chaos got what they wanted. You know what I mean? It is a superstitious, terrible place. You know, if the golden age of technology humans had their way, you know, wasn't suffering kind of thing as there was, you know. Lon Lon Ranch. That's good. Yeah, I'm not going to let other people do Lon Lon Ranch and their children. Okay.
Hey, how's it going?
What up, Dusty? How are you, man?
Good. How was your week?
Yeah, it was good, dude. Did a little traveling, did a little painting, wrapping up this guard army, doing some Sanctioned Psykers right now. Are you working on Ravener?
I am.
Good. All right. Is it the last Ravener?
No, I have one more after this.
Damn, my title is a little wrong. I was like, I actually said Ravener number 5 question mark?
4, yeah, 4. Number 4.
So the question mark is wrong. I know normally titles question mark isn't wrong, but I mixed up the formula. What do you think of the white background, Dusty?
It looks really good. It's also focusing better, and the exposure is more correct.
Yep. I think I need like a little bit better light though.
Yeah, I mean, over here it looks totally fine. Like, okay. I don't know what you would do to make it.
All right. Well, then
drastically better.
Maybe it's just my display. I'm doing Sanctioned Psykers. So one thing I really like about 4th edition, Dusty, is for anyone who is not familiar with this channel, I've been playing 4th edition with my buddies lately. And one thing I really like about it, Dusty, is I think Warhammer has a problem, and I'm going to give you my pitch. You ready? This is my hot take pitch.
Hit me.
The game is in a weird state where you can't make a normal guardsman character.
Because they're not exciting enough, or what?
Here's what I mean by that. Too many points, and he has to compete with like Space Marine characters that are 55 points. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Too little points, and you take 3 of them, and they just are broken just because of how cheap they are.
Right.
There is no middle ground that can exist because of the place that balance is at the moment, where you can make a guard character who isn't a named character that will see play. In my opinion.
Right. That tracks.
Whereas in 4th edition, whole different ball game. Like, SARs are worthwhile, Sanctioned Psykers are worthwhile, but also it's the type of game where, like, I don't know, lasguns aren't the worst weapon in the game. You know?
Are Sanctioned Psykers even still a thing? Like, I don't think I've ever seen one played.
I don't even know. But look at this Sanctioned Psyker I put together. My thought process is either it's not going well,
or it's going great.
Well, or it didn't look like it was going well 5 seconds ago in front of the commissar, and he like lost his nerve and is now running away desperately, and that's not going to work for him. You know, that's not going to be a great look. Just doing some bone, because according to the Astra Militarum, although back then it was called Imperial Guard. They didn't need the copyright everything.
Yeah, who took that away from them? Lucas?
No, Chapter House Studios.
Who?
Chapter House Studios was a very, very, very small company that did incredibly limited production runs. I'm talking less than 1,000 probably per printing, right? And they would make analogs of GW models that didn't yet have official kits. Understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, GW, as I understand it, everyone always trots out if like someone's like, man, these guys sure are being litigious of like some nobodies. Sure is a weird thing for a multi-billion-dollar company to care about. People will trot out and say like, they have to go after everybody or else it'll make it difficult in the future. And it's like, yeah, that's not why they're doing it. It's just like 1,000 runs. So anyway, they're suing Chapter House under the idea that all of the things that they're making are official GW license. I think the thing they were bringing up was Tyranid stuff. Chapter House Studios, their lawyers, because they're kind of just like a cottage operation, they say, we're not basing it off of Warhammer 40K. We're basing it off of the Giger estate. And actually, we've invited the Giger estate, to participate in this kind of conversation. And we've made them aware of the existence of Tyranids.
Okay.
And the Giger estate is a very large estate. And as I understand it, apparently the Chapter House people basically just ruffled the feathers of people that GW was ripping off to the point that GW basically had to back off of everything because they had no legal ground to stand on because every one of their things is a ripoff. I believe they just started describing the basic premise, and I think the judge interrupted and was like, isn't this Dune? So, I don't know how many of the details of that are true. This all occurred in like 2008. So, think someone just would get on the internet, Dusty, and lie?
I have never seen that happen before.
That would be ridiculous. I refuse to live in your shadowy, alarmist world where someone would just get on the internet and lie. But anyway, so that's why GW changed all the names to be like hyper specific. Like it's the Cicatrix Maledictum. What up, Zebra? What up? And why it you can't be a sanctioned psyker anymore. When they re-release the concept of a human psyker squad to the Imperial Guard roster, they'll be called like the Sanctus Psycharian Janissaries of Bilquab 4. But it'll essentially be the same thing.
That's a long tail for copyright. That's why.
Yeah. The Bilquab 4 is for SEO optimization. You don't want it to get confused with the Janissaries from Bilquab 1 through 3 or 5 through infinity.
Or the non-Bilquab Janissaries.
Oh, that is true. You're right. Which there are 7. You ever watch the Onion News Network video?
No.
Which is it's like a fake news network, right? And they have a fake military general on, and he's there. This is back during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, where he's like, it is the sovereign duty of every American soldier to protect its gays. And at one point they're like, General, just because the premise is that the reason why gay people aren't allowed in the military, it turns out, according to this farcical video, was because they're just too precious and they need to be protected by the military at all costs. And at one point, the interviewer's like, General, How many lives is the life of one gay person to American soldiers? And the general, without hesitation, says 7.
That's very Astra Militarum.
Yeah, it always feels like something the guard would have said. What should this chest plate be colored? They don't really have chest plates in the actual
Rust. He looks like he would have a rusty chest plate.
No, he's like, I know he looks dingy, Dusty, but that's just because he's lived a rough life. He technically is a very high station until a commissar shoots him in the back of the head 8 minutes into the fight. He's like a noble's third son, something to that effect. See you soon, Zebra. I'm gonna take a look again at my handy dandy book here. These older codexes, by the way, Dusty. Now I have all of them. I have every single codex from 3rd edition to 4th edition.
I'm awfully
The only one I'm missing is the old workbook. Look at this art. Look at this. Look how charming this is.
It reminds me of the old BattleTech books. It was back when it felt like just like a nerdy adventure as opposed to like how sexy it is today.
Well, can I tell you something though, Dusty? This art looks way better. It looks just objectively better, in my opinion, than the super, I don't even know what I would call it, Disneyfied Warhammer art we get now.
I mean, I like the art we get now too, though.
Well, yeah, but look at this, Dusty. Come on.
That is phenomenal.
Come on, Dusty. You know what my problem is, too? Back then, art was just allowed to be art. But I don't know if you've noticed, because you're into marketing, you do it professionally as a part of your business. Do you notice that now every single thing that is in any piece of art, it has a corresponding model kit?
Yeah.
And I get it. If I was running the company, I'd be like, well, we should only show things that the customer can buy.
I want all those things when they show.
But at a certain point, it gets a little limiting, Dusty. Remember all the crazy John Blanche stuff? Well, that can't exist in the artwork anymore because you can't literally make a 3D model of it.
Right.
So I think it's very needlessly limiting, I guess. These guys apparently have black like gloves.
Can I have both things? Can they go crazy and do all the things they want, but also figure out a way to make them into models for me?
You want like Lovecraft? You want us to make the models that like a hyper advanced society would make, that are so advanced that if they need to represent a non-Euclidean geometry or monster, it just miniaturizes a real one?
Yeah. I mean, like imagine Interstellar, but instead of reaching back in time to talk to ourselves, we're like
we use it to get Warhammer models.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in. Yeah. For me, it's one of those things where it's like John Blanche is Warhammer 40K to me. So when I see the modern artwork, which is very literal, that is cool. That's cool, Dusty.
Yeah, sheer amount of art he created was intense.
Oh yeah, there's a little museum apparently in England. I definitely want to go see.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, I hear it's nice. I think Midwinter Minis did like a little thing on it. I don't even know if it's still running. Okay. For anybody watching, you're like, Rob, you said you were going to paint his shoes black, then you painted them dark blue. I don't really paint things black in miniatures ever, unless I don't want you to look at them. What have you been doing lately gaming wise, Dusty? It's been your game of choice.
Board game or video game?
Let's start with board game. Start with the
We are working on. So we just did Notebook Nation's campaign for our Minerva studio, which is a new imprint we have.
Okay.
And that went really well.
Great.
And
Awesome.
we're working. What's that?
I said that's awesome.
And then we're working on our game that's going to be releasing in 3 months on Kickstarter.
Okay.
Name yet to be announced.
Okay.
And that's going super well. And that's most of what I've been doing for board games is working on our own stuff.
Okay. You've been doing anything for fun?
Working.
You've been gaming any video game?
Yeah, I play some games every morning before I start working. Like I'll get up and eat
what's your
breakfast.
game? Hit us with it.
So I'm playing Monster Hunter Stories 3.
Ooh, cool.
And Pragmata. And I have been slowly playing Rogue Trader.
Oh, cool. Do you like the Rogue Trader game?
I do so far. I probably should have played it on PC. Like it very much feels like a PC game on console.
Got it.
And I could have, but I don't really like to sit at my computer and play video games.
Okay.
So, but other than that, yeah, I mean the all the concepts are cool. Like I like how they sort of, like it's sort of Baldur's Gate-esque, right? Same sort of ish genre.
Sure.
But it feels like Warhammer rules applied in that scenario. So I like that a lot.
I haven't given it a shot yet. I'm actually, it's funny. I don't like video game versions of D&D.
Well, I think it's more like playing
tabletop games in general.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's not quite like that. It's more like XCOM, I guess.
Ooh, all right, now we're talking.
Yeah. So they plays more like XCOM.
Okay. Well, I love XCOM.
But like imagine XCOM, but with like like the old, not like Baldur's Gate 3 in between stuff, but more like you're playing like Neverwinter Nights.
Oh, Neverwinter Nights was my game as a kid.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's open. Is it Open Owl or no? It's Owlcat, right?
Okay, they're a good studio.
Yeah, they they call themselves a computer RPG studio, which I think is very much that style of game. Although it's interesting because they're making like a Mass Effect style game for the Expanse now, which is
for the
not.
Expanse.
Yeah, the game looks like it's gonna be cool, but that's definitely not their usual computer RPG genre.
The kind of like action RPGs of Mass Effect.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, well, I mean, but I guess we'll see because they haven't really talked about the depth of like the RPG-ness, and that's their shtick. The character creator for Rogue Trader was so heavy that I was like, normally I'll just kind of wing it if I don't have a specific build I want to try and achieve, and here I was like, I think I'm gonna go look up a build. Like this is a little too intense. And I'm absolutely going to mess something up. And sure enough, like the things I was going to be like, yeah, I'll take that. Like, not the answer.
I do hate it in an RPG, by the way, when it lets you make bad decisions in the beginning.
I don't think it was going to be bad decisions, but there are very clearly like great decisions and not the greatest.
The way that I always think about it is your ability to make bad decisions should increase as you gain levels. Because theoretically, the higher level you are, the more experienced you are at making these decisions and understanding how your build works. Your initial choices, in my opinion, should be all good to an equal degree.
Well, I mean, you just don't even know what you're doing. Yeah, you're right. Like,
because in the beginning, the part of an RPG I hate is when you're building your character in an RPG and pen and paper, whatever, and it's like, all right, pick out like 12 abilities and some feats. And it's like, yeah, but I don't know how the game works yet.
I don't even know what these things do. Yeah.
These are meaningless choices. You might as well just randomize it for me. You know? By the way, here's the Sanctioned Psyker little bit more looking like a psyker at this point.
Nice.
These, by the way, once again, we talked about this point last week, I think. I've been reading a lot of the rules, especially the rules that I remember people getting into arguments about how vague they were.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to be my rules judge, Dusty. And all you're going to do is use your 2026 knowledge of how to write rules.
I am a
You're going to tell
professional
me
game
if you
designer.
even think this is vague. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question after presenting you 2 descriptions of a unit.
Okay.
You'll want to keep in mind the composition of the unit because that's what will matter in their interaction. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Commissar. Summary execution.
Okay.
Commissars are tasked with ensuring unwavering dedication to the Imperial Creed and are utterly intolerant to backsliders. If a unit with a commissar fails a morale check for any reason, the commissar will summarily execute the officer or sergeant leading the squad.
Okay.
This happens automatically. Remove the executed model as a casualty. Unit in question is then assumed to have passed the morale test after all and continues to fight under the leadership of the commissar.
That's hilarious.
Great rule, right? I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to join that commissar to my conscript infantry platoon. The composition of a conscript infantry platoon is simply 10 conscripts.
Okay.
Specifically, no officer, no sergeant. Both of those words being uppercase in the commissar's description. If my conscripts have to take a leadership test, will the commissar make it so they automatically pass?
Okay. Read the commissar's rule to me one more
I'm going
time.
to show it to you now. Summary execution right here. Okay. The commissar will summarily execute the officer, uppercase, or sergeant, uppercase. The unit in question is then. I read the things that I think matter to this conversation.
So if I was being super literal, the part that matters is the unit in question is then assumed. The officer will, and the unit in question is then assumed, which tells me that if you don't have a sergeant to execute, then you don't get the benefit of that.
Exactly. But people used to argue that this was vague. And I'm like,
No.
Nothing about this is vague. This is what
No.
GW writes in crazy legalese now. Because people back then used to be like, well, that could mean anything. And I'm like, no, it can mean one thing. If there isn't an officer or sergeant dead at the end of summary execution's trigger, you don't get to then be assumed to have passed the morale check.
Yeah, I mean, if that was going to be the case, it would say if there is no sergeant or whatever. You know, it would say like the commissar executes any sergeant.
Why would it call out officer or sergeant if it?
Yeah, it would say the commissar executes one sergeant or whatever attached to this. The unit automatically passes the battle shock test.
Exactly. It doesn't carve out a caveat for what you execute if you don't have a capital O officer, capital S sergeant.
Yeah.
And if we look here, capital S sergeant under stormtrooper. Capital S sergeant under veteran sergeant. And people back then would be like, what counts as a sergeant?
Anything with
Is
sergeant
a
in the name?
bonehead a sergeant? And I'd say, no, a bonehead is a bonehead, guys.
Yeah, does it say sergeant in his name? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, veteran sergeant? Oh, he's a sergeant. Conscripts? No sergeant, no officer? Guess what? Can't join. However, I do realize that there's a caveat to this. If you take an officer squad and join it to the conscripts, the commissar can kill your senior officer. So he could kill a 70-point character so that your 40 points of conscripts don't run away.
I think if they were being real clever, the commissar would off himself in the name of the emperor.
You know, I even think it makes sense, actually, though, that he needs to have a sergeant or an officer. Because here's the difference. All right, you're 9 guardsmen and your sergeant, right? The commissar kills your sergeant. Well, he didn't kill one of you. He killed your boss. If he just kills a random guardsman, well, just why don't the 9 other guardsmen turn their guns on the commissar? Pretty easy math equation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Next up is I'm going to be doing some oranges here and there. By the way, I have this set up so that this is hooked onto the desk. So it is a physical property that makes this the center of the frame.
Nice.
It's literally hooking using this bit into the desk.
Nice. Smart.
Yeah, I think it'll mean that audience should be able to see what's in focus. I'm going to add some orange flames, and then I guess I'll do the pink flesh.
Is Rich still in Austria this week?
I think so, because he's been sending me stuff of his painting journey.
Nice.
He's got some really cool things to teach us. He's learning all the secrets of the airbrush right
No.
now. Yep. So.
Can airbrushes teach me how to paint terrain really fast so I feel like doing it?
Oh, I actually found the way to paint your terrain really fast.
How's that?
Midwinter Minis did a video on it, and then I bought a bunch of them. I'm going to try it, and after I have, I'll let you know, but it's these right here. These little makeup sponges.
Yeah.
He just uses makeup sponges, and he was very convincing. Convincing enough, I spent the $3 to buy some makeup sponges.
Nice.
So. Yeah, they could call him an influencer.
Big makeup sponge is going to sponsor him.
Oh, yeah. And Big Makeup Sponge, if you want to sponsor us, the average Warhammer YouTuber, though, expects $20 million, even if they only have 1 subscriber.
Payable in makeup.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Whatever. At that scale, it's a commodity.
You're like, I can offload it somewhere.
Yeah. At that scale, we can find some guy who gives us pennies on the dollar. I'll take it.
Hey man, I'm looking for a place where I can offload about 50,000 units of mascara.
I'd be like, all right, let's do it. We'll set you up, ship it here. It's funny because I painted using this method. I didn't really paint the tops of them. So if you look at the top of them right now, there's like a perfect line where on neither side did my bone reach. So it's perfectly white where the primer's still showing.
I did that earlier today on this Ravener. I was like, yeah, I painted all the red, like he's done, and then I like tilted him, and I realized the underside of every single
the classic,
of every single scale hadn't been painted.
The classic Dusty. That's the oldest in the book, especially with primer.
Oh yeah,
you go prime outside in the sun. You got your sunglasses on. You're like, wow, I covered that whole thing in primer. It looks like, with my eyes right now, like everything's primed.
You get inside,
and then you walk into interior light, and like it is only primed from exactly one specific angle, but otherwise is bare plastic in any other direction. That's the classic. Alrighty here.
You played any 11th yet? I suppose your box wouldn't be there yet, right?
I have not played any 11th. Generally, with a new edition, I give it some time. That's why I'm doing this 4th edition thing. Also, I just didn't. We keep on every time we're like, well, do we want to play 10th or 4th? We pick 4th.
Nice.
Yeah.
I follow like Play on Tabletop and Vanguard Tactics. Or I mean Tabletop. Is it Tabletop Tactics or Vanguard Tactics?
I think they changed their name, but recently.
Oh, okay. That makes so much more sense about why I was confused.
Yeah. So now there's one that like sounds like kind of similar.
They all seem to be really into 11th, but they also
So I get it's kind of their bread and butter. They're in a lot of trouble if they don't like 11th.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've been watching, I think it looks like all good improvements to 10th. Like I don't see anything where I'm like,
The stuff I'm scared of aren't the base rules, Dusty. It's a worrying trend I've noticed. I was talking about this with a friend where I said, other than the unit that came out last week, Warhammer has been balanced all of 10th. But the problem is, throughout the entire edition, Dusty, a unit had come out last week. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was never balanced. Because there was always some form of the Defiler or the stupid, I don't know, name every unit in the game. It was stupid and broken for at some point for a little bit, as long as they needed to sell the models. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of buying model because they came out last week. You know what I mean?
Excuse me.
Also, it's just one of those things too, where it's like, man, I don't think that's going to work forever. I think every time you do a thing like that, some sort of anti-consumer practice where you make it basically you need to buy 3 of the newest thing. I think you only get a player to do that a couple of times before they swear off from doing it ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems to be going for a while. Like,
oh, sure. But I think a lot of times, especially a publicly traded corporation, can essentially pour out their business for many, many years, making it seem as if they're gaining profit when all they're really doing is reducing their overall facility,
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about Magic with all the Marvel stuff. And
Magic is, I think, a further ahead version of this.
Yeah.
Because you might say, wow, the SpongeBob set, people love it. And it's like, the SpongeBob people do.
Well, it's selling great at front of store at Target. It's not the fan base. Like the fan base didn't even show up for the Ninja Turtle pre-release.
Oh, yeah.
Like there were all kinds of reports of very popular stores absolutely full of people that decided to play Commander instead of play any of the Ninja Turtle stuff. And it just like looking at the cards and decks, like it just looked weird. Like Final Fantasy and Avatar fit so well. The Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings fits so well with Magic. But the Ninja Turtle stuff just stands out. And then this week they finally fixed the license for Omen Paths to look like Spider-Man. And so all of a sudden all my decks are like full of like random like Magic and then Spider-Man, and it just, I don't know. I don't like it. Like it just feels off. It feels like somebody shoved a bunch of Marvel Snap into Magic. Like,
yeah, to me, it just cheapens the product, personally.
I mean, they should be selling their own IPs. Like they should be.
Yeah, it's cowardice, in my opinion. It's basically them saying, because in my opinion,
well, they're grabbing money. Somebody's making sales.
It's just a way to get an easy buck.
Yeah.
And the problem with an easy buck is it's not free. You are, in my opinion, diminishing your overall reputation. And you might say, well, that doesn't matter. But I think it does. I don't think anyone would buy. All right. If Magic came out today, Dusty, would anyone care if it had a SpongeBob SquarePants set?
No. I don't think. I think if Magic came out today and it was Marvel, it'd be gone in 3 years. Like,
right. So it isn't the SpongeBob that's making Magic popular. Magic is making SpongeBob popular.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where it's like, it upsets me because it feels like it shrinks everything down into being one IP. Dumb crap that our society cannot get over and we continue nostalgically pandering to. Although now I'm beginning to see how the nostalgic cycles end. Because I used to think, because I had never lived through a nostalgic cycle, is I used to think, well, why would they ever end? And I think people eventually get tired of seeing the same shit over and over again. I think
it's not novel anymore. It's the same. It's the annual, don't ask questions, buy thing because thing produced.
Right. Yeah. What do you mean? You're going to buy it because I made it. It's what
You always buy Marvel things, yes, but I have a house full of Marvel things, and actually the last 4 Marvel things actually haven't been good. So,
well, I think they're going to learn the lesson that Marvel learned in 1991. You know?
I am not familiar with what happened to Marvel in
Oh,
91.
that's the famous comic book market crash, where all comics basically became worth nothing. Nobody took the medium seriously anymore. It was
nobody cared.
crazy overdeveloped. Comic book stores all over the world went out of business in droves. Blah 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 blah. Rich would know more about it. He owned the comic book store while it was happening. so you'd have to talk to him. But
the great market crash of 91.
Yep. I was 1 year old, so don't ask me what it was
like. I was 8.
Yeah. But apparently they oversold. They were nostalgia baiting on everything. They were just making it all about like remember this? You remember this? Buy this because you remember it. Remember it?
I mean, they're doing that again right now. Like,
oh, that's why I'm saying. I think at the end of this nostalgic cycle, I think because also too, think about the next generation of kids. Why would they think Star Wars is cool?
My kids don't.
Oh, well, there you go.
They couldn't, and it's not even like that. They're like, that's not cool. It's like they couldn't care less. And again, I have a room in my house with 137 shelves of Star Wars toys on it. They couldn't care less.
Well, I think about it with like, I don't know, my dad being really obsessed with cowboy movies and knowing everything about cowboy movies.
Yeah, that was the fantasy that captured a child's imagination at that time, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I just, why would these people give a crap about Alien? Why would they care about Terminator?
I mean, they might start if you start showing them the movies, given what they're used to consuming now. Although the problem is you have to pay attention for more than 5 minutes when you're watching Terminator.
Well, I'll say this. The Backrooms movie is doing fantastically, and it is not second screen friendly at all.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
At no point does a character go, anyway, I'm an allegory for guilt. I'm going to bite this guy's head. Like, nobody does that in the background.
I mean, that, if you think about it, that might kind of be the same. People are talking about like, why is Pragmata doing so well? Well, and I thought, my first thought when I started hearing was, well, it's like it feels like a PS3 game back when it was like, hey, we made a story and a thing just for you to enjoy the story and the thing, and it doesn't have to be a giant IP, and it doesn't have to be some license, and it doesn't have to be like a persistent open world. It's just a fun series of puzzles and a good story. And that's what almost all games were in PlayStation 3 era. And then I saw an article where somebody's like, this feels like a PS3 game, and I'm here for it. Like, we could use more of these. And so, I mean, yeah, Backrooms is sort of like that old style of like this. You had to pay attention.
Yeah, like apparently the kids love it. So I don't buy. It's kind of like whenever someone says like, why did millennials do this? And it's like, millennials didn't do that. Companies thought less of millennials.
Yeah, companies at the time that millennials were doing their thing did that.
Yeah, so they thought less of them and didn't think they could handle it. Yet the things that were most popular from my childhood were like No Country for Old Men, a 3-hour-long movie where 3 things happen.
Yeah, I do not enjoy that movie on any level.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. But,
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't enjoy that.
Well, and I also, you can see by my description, I understand if someone doesn't like the movie, especially you get to the end and you're like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, I remember thinking exactly that when I got to the end, like, oh my God, what just happened?
Well, but I think I'm a little bit younger than you, so I grew up on those action movies being old hat to me. So the idea of an action movie not showing you the ending was like brilliant to me, you know, but I think that's because that was the era of the cycle that I was on. It's kind of like meta humor. Everyone always thinks meta humor is new. It's like, no, we have like histories where like for like 30 years, we have like 17 different books that all came out that were super meta. So they were going through a trend where meta was cool. Me personally, I think meta is lazy. A little kid's first instinct when they're on a TV show is to look at the camera and go, isn't it crazy how unlike real life this story is? That's a kid's. Actors used to be trained not to ignore the artifice of the camera, you know. So, but I also think that it can be very funny too. I'm just saying there are these cycles of things where like everybody's really into this type of, you know, Judd Apatow humor where characters just rant for like 5 minutes and they just let the camera run and you got some silly, improv out of it. I hate that style of comedy, you know, but that was very popular for some people, you know. Once again, here is the one who's running away, probably because he's about to get shot in the back of the head.
The commissar is standing behind him.
Oh yeah, he's right behind him. Here, I got him for you. Are you a Street Fighter fan there, Dusty?
I sure am.
All right, I'm going to show you my commissar.
Oh, is it M. Bison? Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. My favorite was his name Raul Julia?
That played Bison in the 90s?
Yes. That's my favorite iteration.
So?
Yeah, that's my favorite iteration. The when the woman says, like, you burnt down my village and killed my family. Do you remember who I am? And he's like, when M. Bison graced your little village, it was the most important day of your life. For M. Bison, it was Tuesday.
Oh, I'm being summoned. I'll be right back.
All right, get summoned. I'm going to add some Gore Grunta. Fleshy! I don't like this. Anyone wants to tell me how I can like clean this out of a playmat so that it's dark and white again? Please let me know. Russell will be buying a lot of playmats. Gorgrana. Alrighty. So I actually don't even have any Sanctioned Psykers in my list. I might run some if I own them. Like if I was like, well, I got one of these sitting right over there. Also, I want to eventually start running Apocalypse games. There's a few reasons. 4th edition Apocalypse is super easy to play. It's like a way easier game. And it has Imperial armor rules for all the wacky vehicles and stuff that didn't exist back then. The only thing I think you'd have to switch out is there was no such thing as a Rogel Dorn in that time period. But there were tanks that were just bigger than a Lehman Russ. So you could just run the Dorns that you own as Russes. It's funny. I was looking at the Apocalypse book, seeing how many different rules there were. And it really just changes how formations work. And it changes like how like, sorry guys. Changes how formations work, and it changes how super heavy vehicles work. Other than that, pretty similar.
I am back, but I am eating, so I will be off camera.
Alrighty, sounds good. I am adding Gore Grunta here. I was talking about just, you know, the difference between the editions and what they incentivize you to play and everything. I guess the thing that I'm realizing is old Warhammer was built around the plastic infantry box sets. So they were about 10 guys with the same gun shooting 10 different guys with different guns. And that was the variety. The variety now is like, we just added Gorgloth, he actually has been Robo Gilliman's friend forever. They just never brought him up, which is fine. I don't care when they do that. But it's just funny that they have to do that now every single time that they do it. And they're like, anyway, he's going to go to a war sector where all 29 factions in the game will happen to arrive at about the same time.
Yeah, I think it's funny when they're like, there's millions of worlds, and most of those worlds never even see a Xenos or a Space Marine. And I'm like, so they all just happen to be on like the same world all the time?
They don't just see a Xenos, Dusty. They see Eldrad. Like they run into Eldrad. They're like, oh yeah, old Eldrad. He comes through every now and again.
I want to know what I have not found this in the lore, but like, what are the Emperor's children doing on their days off? Like sitting around in the warp? Like, do they eat? Do they play games? Do they just, keep doing more of the same? Or do they only like warp into existence? What's that Space Marine chapter that like only warps into existence when help is needed or something like that?
The Legion of the Damned.
Speaking of, I would buy that if
Emperor's children, we have an answer. I think we have an answer. The Emperor's children are making hyperpop generally. That's 90% of their work. Because remember, the Sound Blaster, it doesn't really work for them if it's the same song. So they just got to constantly, like a treadmill, be generating hyperpop that they can blast through their. It kind of weighs on them. It's a heavy burden.
So those idol companies are always after them to make more content.
It's true. It's true. The record label deal they signed with Slanesh, not favorable. Not favorable, Dusty. Does not place them in a fiduciarily liquid position compared to Slanesh. They also get tortured forever, which I think is a bad addendum to a contract. But
yeah, I mean, I can imagine the Eldari sleeping, right? I can't imagine Chaos Marines actually laying down, take a quick nap.
Well, Eldari actually, remember, because they live too long and they're too psychic, we actually know exactly what they do. They're like Giga Amish people. Like they can't do anything unless they strictly adhere to like a rule. So say you want to get into Eldari stamp collecting, you have to do it the way it's always been done, so as to not summon a chaos god into it.
Yeah, he's like
with the way that you collect stamps. The way that Eldar collects stamps can summon a stamp collecting god.
Yeah, he's like, okay. Like, here, okay, everybody be calm. Everybody be calm. Think calm thoughts. I got a stamp. It's from 1992.
Yeah,
and it's
nobody get too excited.
Everybody calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's like, but that's such a rare stamp. It's like,
no, hold on.
You're getting too excited. It's just a stamp.
Like half a sector is lost to the warp.
Yeah, exactly. Because somebody got too hyped about a stamp. I mean, that's why they were able to create one, is because it said that they could experience things at a higher level. So if we extrapolate that out, that means when Eldar are playing their version of Eldar 40K, in which the good guys are the Eldar, and everyone else has abysmal stats, and the Eldar always win. Their codexes. So it's very similar to regular 40K, actually. It's not. They can actually probably just get away with playing regular 40K if they want the Eldar to always win. But yeah, even that, if they win a 40K tournament, better look out. Or Eldar 40K. That one will be called 65 million years.
By the way, I do like the idea that the Eldari and Drukhari are like two examples of what happens when you just get so bored.
Well, I mean, I think what they're meant to demonstrate is we get two cataclysmic, awful wars in the setting, right, Dusty? We get the War in Heaven and we get the Horus Heresy, right? Two wars so gigantic that they covered the whole of the galaxy. And both wars cost the galaxy a spiritual guide that it was once relying on for infinity, right? So they're very similar, right? You know, the old ones leave in the same way that the Emperor leaves, that kind of stuff, right? So I think you're right. I think the Eldar are meant to be like, yeah, but what if the Emperor had one? It'd be like, well, it would be better for a while, but even after 65 million years, it would suck then too. You know, I think 40K is mostly about how systems fail over time.
Everything goes sideways.
Yeah, it's that poem, "The Center Falls Apart" or whatever. By what's his name? It's very famous. Thoreau. Is that Thoreau?
I don't know poetry.
Neither do I. I never was into poetry. I don't know why. My favorite poem is, I guess, Ozymandias. Probably my favorite poem. Or actually, there was this poem at the House on the Rock that was better. It was there once was Mary McBride who ate some apples and died. In her lament, the apples ferment. Now there's cider inside her insides. It's a good one. By the way, back in the day, if you read like historical chronicles, if you were a dude who could come up with like a snappy rhyme, that could be your whole job.
Forever.
You'd be at the courthouse and they'd be like, "Old Jim the rhyming man, give us a rhyme before we close out." He'd be like, "Here's one," and he'd do it, and everyone would go, "Ha, old Jim, I'm so glad we didn't hang him last year for heresy."
Those rhymes better stay good or else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I've told this one. Have I told the mullah poetry story?
No.
So there's this chronicle, and in this chronicle, in like I think Tajikistan, there is this character who's like a folklore character, often referred to simply as the mullah, right? And he's kind of like a Uncle Iroh type character, if I had to describe him in any specific way to connect him to modern audiences, right? And basically, he's used to tell like funny little things about life. You know what I mean? That's the type of character he is, right? Like a very simple one is a guy calls out to him and said they're on either side of a river, right? Mm-hmm. And this guy calls out to him and says, "Hey, how do I get to the other side of the river?" And the mullah calls back out, "You're on the other side." Mm-hmm. Anyway, you get it, right?
Yeah, I'd be like, you got me.
There's one where the king knows the mullah's in town. The king knows that the mullah is like the dude who knows the most about poetry. He's the most cultured of the people around here. I'm not going to, talk to the bumpkins who live around me. I'm going to read my amazing poetry to the mullah, right? So he brings mullah into the castle. He's reading him his poetry. At the end of it, he's like, "What'd you think?" And the mullah's like, "That was the worst poetry I've ever read in my entire life." Yeah, that was like a sin against nature for you to have written that. I can't believe I had to sit through that crap. And the king puts him in prison. All right. Just sends him to prison, throws away the key, right? And the mullah's in prison for like 6 months. The king comes back and says, "All right, I've got some more poetry. If you're interested, you can listen to it. I'll let you out of prison." Right? The mullah's like, "Fine, let me hear your poetry." King starts reading his poetry. He gets about like 5 minutes in. The mullah gets up, starts leaving the building. And the guy's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm going back to prison." Classic. All right, he's coming together. His little psyker uniform is even coming together. Now he looks like a crazy psyker running away rather than just a guy running away, which I'm sure is common in the 41st millennium. A guy running away screaming is probably more common than guy wielding guns stoically.
Well, I mean, in the guard, right? Aren't they handing them the gun of the previous guy that had the gun? And
oh, yeah. It says in like the guard codex, they have like a 15-minute life expectancy. Hold on. Let me read my favorite line. Did I read this last week? I don't want to read this again if I read this last week. I have this codex where I told you the why collect Imperial Guard.
Yes.
Okay.
But you didn't read that part to us, or the thing to us.
About why collect one?
No. Whatever the favorite part.
Oh, if I read the why collect, I did. That's my favorite.
I don't think. Well, no. Okay, then you didn't read the why collect. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I shall read it. You ready? In the midst of genetically engineered super beings, alien killing machines, warrior mystics, and technology that approaches sorcery in its sophistication, the Imperial Guard are mere soldiers. Clad in a flak jacket and carrying a las gun, they have to contend with the most terrifying threats, relying on numbers, mass firepower, and a bayonet with some guts behind it. As such, it's easy to identify with these brave souls and see it in them the qualities of true heroes. To me, it's kind of like Moomin Rider from One Punch Man. I think you watch One Punch Man.
Yeah, which one is that? Is that the one with the
bicycle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That yeah.
I think the point of Moomin Rider is to say he's the only true hero because he's the only one risking something.
Right.
Is it heroic for Saitama or for Marnius Calgar to punch a chaos cultist? Marnius Calgar has two big hands that are like the size of spaceships. All right, that's what he does. He punches things. But I think it is fun and heroic. The idea that you could have check these out. I just painted these up. I wanted to do just like generic guys who were not Cadians. You feel me?
Oh, I was just about to say that's why I like the Cadians so much because they're like not only that, but they've lost their home. Like they have, they have no anchor. And yet they still.
I have a problem with Cadians though is Acadian's not a normal person. Acadian, when they were 3 years old, was crawling through barbed wire training demonstrations. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I was thinking all right, I got these guys. They're called the Ura guys. And they have kind of like a more realistic look to them.
Right.
Right. So I thought, well, then I'll paint them purple. Right. Because that's an unrealistic color scheme. Right. So if
there's a million worlds. Maybe those guys are purple somewhere.
Oh, why wouldn't they be? I'm sure there's a paramilitary force on this planet that has purple uniforms. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing also that I think people really don't understand. Is they'll be like, can I do this? Is this allowed in the lore? And it's like, there are a million worlds in the Imperium. Check this guy out.
Oh, nice. Is that a Ratling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back in the old days, you didn't run Ratlings. You didn't run all this shit because, well, it didn't have a plastic model. Now all this has plastic models, so 4th edition's a lot more fun because you could run Rough Riders. They have plastic kits, and guess what? Rough Riders are good back then.
It's like not like 4th plus, yeah.
Yeah, they're not a waste of points. They're like the best anti-tank weapon that Guard has because you can arm them with melted bombs, which means when they charge a tank, they hit on the rear armor. Strength 8, 2d6 armor pen. Meaning they pen on anything other than double ones. And double ones glances. So you could still kill it on a double one.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty cool. You can also death or glory with a melted bomb. Which means back in the day, say you put your guys in front of a tank to screen it. Back then, the tank could just drive through your guys, and your guys would have to take a leadership test to potentially run away as the tank drives over them.
Right.
But if they had a weapon capable of killing the tank, one soldier could opt to death or glory. If they killed the tank, they lived. If they didn't kill the tank, it flattened them.
That's pretty cool.
It makes vehicles feel different than infantry. Everything in modern 40K, monstrous creatures, flyers, infantry, tanks, bikes, they just are a different arrangement of card game stats. It's like saying there's a thematic difference between Crawlworm and Scale Worm and Magic the Gathering, because one's a 5/7 and one's a 6/8. Ooh, look at the theming.
No, it's because one crawls and the other one has scales, but the crawling one has scales.
Actually, the crawl worm was discovered by Jebediah Crawl.
Scientific name, Crawlius wormius.
Yeah. It's all the. If you guys don't know, in Warhammer, Arkan Land discovered the STC for the Land Raider and the Land Speeder, hence why they're named after him.
Of course.
The Inquisitor Arkan Land.
I do find it interesting because, like in Star Wars, Land Speeder, it's a speeder that is just like hovering, so
Speeds over the land.
Yeah, but in 40K, I was like looking at that Land Speeder, and I'm like, there's nothing about this that is landish. This is absolutely flying. Like,
have you ever read the fluff for a Land Speeder of what it is? It's like a retro thruster. They duct tape the cockpit onto.
So it doesn't just like it's still nothing land.
They like repurposed a spaceship's engine and put a cockpit on it for light aerial maneuvers.
Yeah, it's like speeder bikes in Star Wars. Yeah, there you go.
They go like insanely fast, which is why Space Marines pilot them, because they have superhuman reflexes. It's really annoying when people are like, why would Space Marines waste their resources piloting vehicles? Because they're not just great at shooting a gun. They're great at piloting a tank and never getting scared and never retreating.
You also need to think of that vehicle as though it is a giant gun that's so big it needs treads or a repulsor.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is it's his big gun,
He's just got a bigger gun.
Like, they wouldn't put Space Marines into a land speeder. Would a Space Marine can't trust that a guardsman would dutifully pilot a Rhino no matter what? Would they trust their lives to a human pilot?
No.
Doesn't make any sense. So a lot of times there's this pet peeve I have. People will come into a fandom where there is an answer to their question, and they do the classic meme of, why don't Sanctioned Psykers just practice warp powers more? Are they stupid? And there is a reason. They just didn't read the fluff. They just watched a meme video on YouTube explaining the fluff, right? Like, the land speeder needs to be piloted by Space Marines because it's moving like faster than a bullet does.
I do like that. That's a new sculpt in the Armageddon box, right?
It is. It's great sculpt.
I like how they like use this. I like how this thing that they've started doing where they're like abandoning, or at least more often abandoning, the flight bases and actually giving them some sort of
more flight bases ever.
Yeah.
Done. I hate flight bases.
I mean, well, and it just looks it looks less lazy and it looks real cool. How the thing is like flying on its own smoke. Like, that's awesome. Sign me up.
Way better. Way better. Yeah, 100%. All right, I'm going to paint some of the skin tones a little bit better. Did I tell you that a Mexican butcher shop opened up down the street from me?
No.
They do burritos. I'm in heaven. They're so good. They're so good.
Nice.
It's great.
What style of burrito?
Generally they'll do like a breakfast burrito in the morning. It's a very limited menu because it's like mainly a butcher shop. But the burrito that I get is bacon, a little bit of salsa, a little bit of beans, a little bit of potatoes, cheese, egg over medium. Tastes so good.
You should tell them about the Mexican butcher shop we once saw in Los Buenos.
Oh yeah, I mean, Amy's in the background saying we saw a Mexican butcher shop in Los Molinos here once, and they were butchering goats on their picnic table in front of their house.
This looks more like a Five Guys. It would be weird if they started butchering a goat.
I mean, Amy and I live in the country. Like,
I guess it means it's fresh.
It was definitely that. I don't know if I would eat on that picnic table ever again, but
oh well. You don't even want to know what they're doing on the Five Guys.
I've worked enough weddings to know that I don't want to think about what's happening in the kitchen.
My dad, his whole life was a industrial like soap and like device salesperson for like Diversity Lever and Johnson & Johnson, shit like that, right? And he would like drive past the restaurant and be like, and we'd be like, let's all go eat there. And he'd be like, not that. That's one of my guys' accounts. I've been in that kitchen. Let's not go to that kitchen. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think it's better if you don't know.
I think it's worse in the modern era because now every time I'm at an event and I'm walking by the kitchen staff, they all have their like clean gloves on, but they're all using their phones.
My favorite bit is when you use a clean glove to touch money.
And then they keep using the glove. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like people didn't do cross-contamination like that when I was in the kitchen. I'd be like, you know what a clean cut on your knife means, right? It means the knife has to be clean. You don't clean it and then cut 7 things. You clean it, cut one thing, and then if you want to cut another thing, you have to clean it again. That's what makes it clean. I'm just pushing this pink. By the way, if you want to do skin tone that is like realistic, no matter the skin tone you're going for, I think starting with like reds and pinks ends up with a more natural look. And if you're constantly like, no matter what you do, your guys always end up looking really pale, no matter what, it's probably because you didn't start with a warmer base. But there's like blood running through humans. Now, if you're doing like a creepy chaos guy who like, you know, he's like a monster, so maybe he doesn't even have blood. Sure, don't start with that. Yeah, I have just a little bit left of my guard army to do, Dusty. 10 mortar teams and 3 guardsmen. That's what I have to do left.
This is for 4th, right?
For 4th, yeah.
What else is on that team?
My army is... I'm looking over here at my army. All right, you ready? Company command squad, 4 las guns, power sword, bolt pistol.
Okay.
Infantry platoon, 20 guys with las guns, 24 guys with las, or 25 guys with las guns. That's it. Conscript platoon, 20 las guns. 5 Ogre with Ripper guns. 5 Stormtroopers with drop assault so they can deep strike with melt-a-guns and melt-a-bombs. 2 Leman Russ Demolishers with las cannons and demolishers. 2 Sentinels with just heavy flamers. 10 Ratlings. 5 Rough Riders. It's a biblically accurate guard army. It has a little bit of everything.
Right.
It isn't just 6 Roval Dorns and a Baneblade. People keep posting their armies onto the subreddit for guard. They're like, do you think it would be a jerk move to play this? And it's like a list with 7 Baneblades in it.
If you have to ask.
And it's like, I don't know. Why are you asking? Do you think you'd have fun playing against 7 Baneblades? Yeah. So apparently Titanic units are pretty buffed right now. I'm not happy to hear that. I think the game needs less Titanics.
You do raise illustrate a good point that like everybody's always like, I like the older editions better. Well, cool. Play the older editions.
That's what I love about it. That's why I bought all the books while they were still cheap. People in 5 years are all going to be playing 4th. I really believe that because it's going to be in the nostalgic cycle. And they're just going to go, wait, we can just go play it. Whereas going back and playing 2nd edition isn't fun in my opinion. But 4th is a tighter game. You know what I'm saying? Because 4th is from an era of reigning in, where 2nd edition was from an era of expansion. So 2nd edition doesn't feel fun to go back to, I bet. I can't know because I didn't play 2nd edition as it came out. But I bet you the reason why that didn't see a massive resurgence during its 20-year cycle is because it was from a pendulum swing of making the game more complicated, and thus someone feeling nostalgic. You know, the current edition is just like 2nd. You know, everybody has 8 million different rules. Everybody could do, like, 4th edition is, no, that wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to keep track of 8 million rules. There are 8 rules. That's it. So we'll see. But I think me buying the books ahead of time is going to be a big savings in the future. Somebody.
How much did you pay for each book on average?
About $20.
Nice.
And I picked up everything. The only one I had to pay a lot for was Lost in the Damned. It is like the best book, though. You ever seen it?
No.
Oh, you want to see it? Let me sneak over here and get it for you. So it is from a campaign supplement. Even back then, they were releasing campaign supplements that had army rules inside of them. This is Eye of Terror.
Ooh, that looks cool.
It is Abaddon's introduction book. It's where we learn about the new War Master of Chaos, Abaddon.
So you're telling me before 4th edition, they didn't have Abaddon Black?
This is a 3rd edition book.
Before 3rd edition? So in 2nd edition, it was just like black? Not Abaddon Black.
The Black Crusades were not a thing before.
Shocking.
Not this book. There's a book before it. I think it's like the Horus Heresy Titan war game. Arbiter Ian has a whole video where he goes into it. But anyway, this is where we get the 13th Black Crusade. Check out Abaddon's new model.
Nice. That does look pretty cool. Hey, go back one page. Go back one page to where Abaddon's new model was. Go down a little, not scroll, but go down. I am so in love with, you know, how they used to just put him on like a flat green field like that to show.
Well, you know what I like about it? It emphasizes the model. You know, like it's a game.
It feels like what made me fall in love with Warhammer in the very beginning, when I would just daydream about my parents like allowing me to play it. They never would because it was too expensive.
Rich one time looked up how much money I spent at Jester's while I worked there on Warhammer products. Guess. I was 19 years old. I worked at Jester's Playhouse where I was paid $11 an hour.
I'm going to guess that you averaged $12 an hour in spend.
Okay. What do you think my total spend was for 1 year on Warhammer?
$5,000.
Price is Right rules.
$5,000.
$11,000.
Whoa! Did you work 1,000 hours that year?
In 2008 Warhammer.
Did you work 1,000 hours that year?
I worked a lot. I always
okay.
Worked a lot.
So you could say it was a net gain.
Look at these conversions. Look at the rule book just telling you to grab your old sprues and make your own custom model.
Oh, that guy on the little wheel is great. Oh, and so where'd you find all these, on eBay?
Oh yeah. Check this out.
I'm thinking
this is
those
when
might be
Cadian shock troops were brand new, so they had their special rules.
So how many different codexes were there back then?
28, maybe.
Oh, so still a ton of them.
Oh yeah. Sanctioned Psyker. Here's what their power is. Back then, you didn't pick the power, you rolled. On a 1, he has no useful power. On a 2...
What's he like? He's like random and crazy, so you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. Let's see. Lightning art. Lightning leaps from the Psyker's hand, surrounding his body before being hurled at enemies with a gesture. Power is used in the Cadian shooting phase instead of firing a normal weapon. Range 24, Strength 3, AP 6. Heavy D6.
What is that?
I bet people considered that good back then, although they probably never did. Heavy was a really rough.
Heavy's. I thought the D6 was heavy. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
No, heavy means
heavy was the keyword, and then it was a D6. Yeah.
Here's the Chaos Horde army list. I love this army list. I don't know if it's any good, but it is an army list where you can take Chaos Space Marines as individual characters. They're your characters, just regular Chaos Space Marines.
Okay.
Because your regular guys are random mutants, random. Hold on, where are they? Random traders. They're 8 points a model, which is very cheap back then. You can just take 5 guys, and they don't look super diligent in their training. You know what I mean? Also, you could take big mutants. Big mutants. I like how it's big mutants, by the way, instead of Ogren. I think the modern codex would have said, no, they're Chaos Bulgrin. You buy the Bulgrin box, and it's like, no, it's just bigger mutants. Whatever you want to make a mutant and have it be bigger.
Knock yourself out, yeah.
Yep. Back then, they would write rules without making models because they said, oh, you just make your own models.
Yeah, go on.
But when they became a publicly traded company, that was no longer conducive to maximum profit. All right, should I make it explicit that he's like going through a psychic event by making his eyes glowing white or something?
Yes.
Okay. Because a part of me is also like, it's just funny too if maybe he's running away because he thinks the commissar thinks he's turning, But
I say lean in.
Lean. Yeah, I will. He's got big eyes, so I can do big old. And then this one's a much more normal sanctioned psyker. What I like is I'm looking at this damned box with all of these characters, and they're meant to be like chaotic characters. But I'm looking at them like, well, they just look like regular 40K characters in general because the 40K setting is so grim dark that a goodly priest can look like. Let me grab my goodly priest model. Where is he? Where the heck? My goodly priest. Aha, I found it. Check this out. I like this one.
Yeah, I that's supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
You cannot tell the difference.
Yep. He's, he fits right in, right?
You're like, are you good or bad? And the guy looks at you and just cackles, and you're like, so good?
In The Simpsons, there's this bit where Sideshow Bob is like the evil politician running for office, and he wins office. And when he finally wins the office, he just starts cackling maniacally like a supervillain. And Kent Brockman goes, and look how happy he is. Hold on, I got something for you. You ready? Check these out. So I had these Bulgrin Ogren counts as.
Yeah, I mean, you paint those were the ones you were working on last week, right?
Yeah, and they were all chaosy. So I was like, what if I just made them look like GIs?
Nice.
So
I like that. I mean, they look like the old cartoons,
Yeah, that's what I was going for,
You nailed it.
Like, I love that he's got a giant work shotgun. Like that's too big of a. It's like supposed to be like a Mossberg 500 or something like that, but it's too big. This is not a human-sized one. Look at how big. Look at a human compared to it. The guns aren't as big as humans are.
It's like a cannon.
Yeah, it's like a freaking little miniature cannon. And back in this 40K, you know what they use to represent it?
What's
Strength 4. Because bolt guns were good. This being Strength 4 was meant to show you how good a bolt gun was.
Like that was the selling point.
Well, a bolt gun Strength 4 AP 5.
Funny.
If you make everything super high strength, nothing is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like apparently Spotify does this program. Drew Gooden talked about it, where he talked about this concept where it's like basically Spotify, you could pay them money, I guess, and they'll more heavily promote your music than people who don't pay money.
Right.
What happens, Dusty, if everybody decides to use the service?
Then you're not getting ahead.
Well, yeah.
They
So
go
then
to a,
what
they
is
go to
the
a bidding
service
model,
then?
basically.
You know, it's a similar thing to that. You know, I'm really happy with how these are turning out so far. I'll be sure to show these off on stream next week. Dusty, do you have the ability to show your Ravener that you've been working on?
No, I guess I don't. Oh, I might never turn my camera back on either. No, I don't have the other one plugged in.
Hold on 1 second. There it is. Dusty, by the way, professional photographer.
Has the worst camera possible set up.
Professional videographer.
I have
if you'd like to hire him for his camera expertise.
Don't look at this stream.
don't look at this stream.
And I can do it in terrible conditions too, like as a wedding photographer. Like you put me in the parking lot at Walmart, and I will give you beautiful wedding photos. So it's not even. I mean, it is absolutely just the height of
I think it's
sheer
contempt
laziness.
for the show, Dusty. That's the only thing I could interpret it as is contempt.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but we're gonna send the commissar over now. So,
Yeah.
not see any sergeants or
And here's the worst part is we built a studio on the other side of the farm. So not only do I have like a
You have a
dedicated
studio.
streaming space now too that I could walk over and paint in.
I'm really happy with how this turned out. Actually, this little dude, very excited to finish painting him up. I will say this angle painting like this, very challenging. I'm going to have to practice it a lot. But for anyone who watched, better or worse, leave a comment if this looked better or worse. It's hard for me to tell sometimes because my feed doesn't look great on this old display I'm looking at.
I think it actually looks really good now. Like I think you're golden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now, you think it, but like, what about this shadow right here? I feel like I could get rid of
Which shadow?
It's like right like here.
I mean, it just looks like you have two lights on it, but the figure doesn't have shadow on him. It's a shadow being cast by the dual light.
Okay, and that's not a problem for you.
No. No.
Okay. All right. Dusty, I will not be here next week, but Rich might. So you
Okay,
two
cool.
might do this. So
Sounds good.
I will see you not next week, but the week after.
All right.
Later,
See ya.